Hey, we're going to have that discussion again. As we usually do, when you see this up, it means that somebody misunderstands how the guidelines work. And yet, we're going to have a little bit of discussion about what's happening on Twitch. For those of you not aware, there is a streamer by the name of Morgpie who is apparently streaming allegedly topless. Okay? There's quotes for that. Everyone's saying that Twitch needs to ban them, to suspend them, that this is porn. We need to break this down. So I'm going to go ahead and disappear for a minute, so you just hear my lovely voice, and I'm going to explain some things to you, particularly about the porn part. So let's address that. Okay, so adult sexual violence and exploitation. Acts of sexual violence and exploitation are serious offenses. Content or activities that promote or threaten sexual violence or exploitation may be reported to law enforcement. Sexual violence and exploitation are not tolerated on Twitch and will result in immediate suspension of your account. I just want to get this part out of the way. You may not show, promote, or engage in non-consensual sex acts, coercing a guest into committing a sex act by threatening them, Ice Poseidon, touching another person in an intimate manner without their consent, Ice Poseidon, sharing or threatening to share privately sexually explicit content without permission of the person depicted, Sandpepper, offering revenge porn of another person, so many people that I can't even mention, sharing linked new images of another person without their consent, again, so many people that I can't even mention because that's a high-ass list, creating or sharing doctored or deepfake intimate images of an identifiable person. There was that one guy, I don't remember his name because he's a hack piece of shit. Let's just get that out the way what that is, okay? So let's not turn it into something else it shouldn't be. Now, let me see if I can find conduct, sexual harassment. Hang on. Here we go. Sexually explicit content and sexual services. To maintain the health of the community, users are prohibited from broadcasting, uploading, soliciting, offering, and linking to pornographic or sexually explicit content, and offering or soliciting any sexual content in exchange for money, services, or items of value. You can't pimp on here, guys, is basically what they're saying. For example, you may not show or promote explicit, simulated, or implied oral, anal, and vaginal sex, including prolonged audio that implies sex, masturbation, or orgasm, such as clear moaning and grunting. Explicit, simulated, or implied self or mutual masturbation, including groping or caressing of genitals. Display of sexual bodily fluids. Phone sex, chat sex, or otherwise engaging in other persons or chat to create sexual content. Advertisement or solicitation of sexual services, including prostitution, escort services, sexual massages, and filmed sexual activity. Broadcasting in areas where nudity or sexual activity may be taking place, even if such conduct or activity is not at the direction of the broadcaster or takes place in the background of the broadcast, is prohibited. While users may not directly link to pornographic or sexually explicit content in their broadcast, profile, or chat, users will not be penalized for linking their personal websites or social media pages that may incidentally contain these links. Conversations about sex or nudity that are intended to be educational and otherwise comply with our policies should be marked as mature content via the respective channel settings. Now that you have read this part of the TOS, which is, for some of you, the current TOS, we now look at this. Where anywhere in this channel, and you know who this is, you know where we are, do you see any of that happening? Where are people having sex? Is there any sexually suggestive dialogue happening? Is there any moaning taking place? No. She's playing Conker's Bad Fur Day, a game that I've never actually played, mind you. But do you see any sex acts going on? Is she pleasuring herself? Is she pleasuring somebody else? Is there any type of sexual activity happening in the background? The answer is no. More effectively, fuck no. But yet somehow you guys think that this is pornographic. Another thing I'd like to point out, and I don't have the clip for this just yet, on the stream that she did yesterday, she did point out very clearly that she is in fact wearing a top. It's a low-cut top. It's just on a frame. So she is not topless. It's called implied nudity, which if you were looking at the channel page that we were just on, the community guidelines, you will see that implied nudity is not prohibited under sexually explicit content and sexual services. We will now move on to this part that everybody is using in all the wrong ways. Okay? So, sexually suggestive content. To ensure content on Twitch is appropriate for diverse audiences, sexually suggestive content is prohibited on Twitch. Evaluations on the sexual suggestiveness of a behavior or activity are independent of user attire and are instead based on the overall surrounding framing and context. For example, you may not engage in content or camera focus on the breasts, buttocks, or pelvic region, including poses that deliberately highlight these elements. Can you see her boobs? Do you see booba? I'm not talking like, oh, well, you can see cleavage there. I mean actually fully exposed breasts. Do you see that? You don't? No? You don't see that? You don't really? How not surprising. Groping or explicit gestures directed towards breasts, buttocks, or genitals. Is she touching herself? No, she's not. She's playing this game, so that means she is clearly holding a controller. Because she's playing a video game. So that's not happening either. Conker's bad for days, the jam. I love this already. Fetishizing behavior activities such as focusing on body parts for sexual gratification or erotic roleplay. She's playing a fucking video game. Featuring sex toys in contents unrelated to sexual education. She's playing a fucking video game. Erotic dances such as those involving stripping or flashing. She's not dancing. She's playing a fucking video game. No erotic dances of any kind. Pole dances or acrobatics with a sexually suggestive framing. She's not pole dancing, and there's no sexual dancing of any kind or sexual framing. Posing, displaying, or sharing erotica, including detailed descriptions of sex acts or pornography. She's playing a fucking video game. And by the way, just so this is clear, Conker's Bad Fur Day came out in the early 2000s. Like way early 2000s. For Nintendo. It's a mature-rated game, but there's no sexual content in it. Nobody's fucking in a Nintendo 64 game, so don't even start with me on that. Okay? Adult nudity. Users are prohibited from broadcasting or uploading content that contains depictions of real nudity, which includes realistically doctored nudity. Incomplete censoring such as pixelization, mosaics, and blurring effects do not constitute an exemption to this policy. For example, you may not show or promote exposed anuses or fully unclothed and exposed buttocks. Do you see a butt here? Is there any exposed buttocks on the streamer? No? No, there isn't. Any amount of exposed genitals. In the words of the movie Horrible Bosses, do you see her pussy? No, I think not. Female presenting individual's breast with exposed nipples unless actively breastfeeding a child. Let me repeat that part and highlight it for you. Female presenting. Hang on a second. Female presenting individual's breasts with exposed nipples, not with or without, with exposed nipples, unless actively breastfeeding a child. Do you see nipples? I'm asking for real. Do you see any nipples in this chat? I want you to look at it. Watch this thing. Do you see any nipples? Tell me. Show me that where you see nipples. Do you see any? If you say yes, congratulations, you're being an asshole. That's why the comments are turned off for this video. I'm tired. In order to set consistent standards that we allow creators to express themselves without exposing our community to inappropriate content, we have an attire policy with detailed examples below. We aim to be transparent around our standards and exceptions to empower creative expression and boost creators' confidence with a clear understanding of our guidelines. The list of contextual exceptions outlined below is not exhaustive. If you find yourself in a situation that is not described by an exception, then we expect you to follow the standard guidelines. The standard guidelines. We don't permit streamers to be fully or partially nude, including exposed genitals or buttocks. We do not permit the visible outline of genitals even when covered. Broadcasting nude or partially nude minors is always prohibited regardless of context. For those who present as women, we ask that you cover your nipples. She's a woman. Where are the nipples? Again, do you see any nipples? You don't, do you? We do not permit exposed underbust. Do you see underbust? No, you don't. And if you did, then you would see the entire breast, which you don't see in this video. Cleavage is unrestricted as long as these coverage requirements are met. So, she is a woman. Her nipples were not exposed. You did not see underbust. And there is cleavage, which is unrestricted as long as the coverage requirements are met. So these requirements that I'm highlighting here have been met, which means that these requirements here are also fine. For all streamers, you must cover the area extending from your hips to the bottom of your pelvis and buttocks. We just see her from upper chest up, upper torso upward. We don't see her entire body. We don't see her completely naked. We just don't. So what she's doing, whether you like it or not, is actually under guidelines. For those areas of the body where coverage is required, the coverage must be fully opaque, sheer, or partially see-through clothing does not constitute coverage. In other words, the parts that need to be covered are her genitals, her buttocks, and her breasts. She has actually shown on her last stream that she is in fact wearing a halter top. It's a low-cut top, so she is not topless. And I would also like to point out very clearly, nowhere does it say that anywhere from the upper torso and upward should be covered. So where is the violation in that? We've been through this. You can watch this video back again. You can read it from up and down and top to bottom. And then there's contextual exceptions. Let's look at that. IRL streaming. Swim, beaches, concerts, and festivals. Hey, let's go to body art, shall we? For streamers dedicated to body art, full chest coverage is not required, but those who present as women must completely cover their nipples and areola with a layer of non-transparent clothing or a paint and latex combination. Artist-grade pasties, tape, latex, or similar alternatives are acceptable. This coverage must be applied before streaming begins, not on stream. Okay? Buttocks and genitals must also be fully covered by opaque attire. This exception to the general coverage requirements only applies when the streamer is actively engaged in body painting, though the streamer may take short breaks between active painting sessions, or when painting is complete to model the results. By the way, if you are a streamer and you do body paint, if you want to take a break, just hit BRB and then come right back. All right, do a BRB screen. It's recommended that you have that. That way you don't get in trouble. And then when you're done, model off the results. Okay? Streamers, transitions. Streamers are given some leeway for making transitions between contexts with different limits of acceptable attire, i.e. or e.g. beach to general outdoor IRL streaming. In these situations, streamers are expected to only spend as much time wearing insufficient attire as needed to add clothing or to change off-screen into clothing with appropriate coverage for the new context. Additional exceptions. The standard chest coverage requirements. The standard chest coverage requirements outlined above do not apply to individuals actively breastfeeding a child on stream. I am saying this clearly because there have been some people who think that breastfeeding is immoral. To those that think that, shut the fuck up. You can go ahead and be mad that you're seeing this. But I can tell you right now, based on what I just read to you in this video that you have actually taken the time to look at, hopefully, there is nothing in here that says that what she is doing is against Twitch terms of service or community guidelines. There's nothing sexual about this. Oh, and for those of you not paying attention, you see this little spot here in the upper right hand corner, Doctors Without Borders? This is a charity stream. She has raised $1,307 out of $1,800 for a very noble cause. But hey, what do I know, right? This type of content is terrible. It should be banned on Twitch. It serves no purpose. It has no benefit, right? This is horrible. This is ruining Twitch. This is leaving the platform over. You should just go and leave the platform. This is what they're allowing? Oh, it's pornographic, right? Oh no. This is terrible. Terrible. We shouldn't have this, despite the fact that it's raised nearly $1,800 in charity. A good charity. Doctors Without Borders is exceptionally good, especially with what's happening in Gaza. They're there. But hey, this doesn't benefit anybody, right? This doesn't do anything for you, right? This is terrible. Huh? Yeah? Look it. There's a whole bunch of shit in the world that is far worse and far more important than what's happening here. I have seen people talk about how they love booba and how they love, nudity and how they support female empowerment and body positivity. If you're going to do that, you have to support it in all of its aspects, not just the bits and pieces in certain spots. This is supportive. This is actually inspiring, because there are lots of women who will get shit on just for being on Twitch alone, and they'll be fully covered. I should know. I have actually modded for streamers who are 100% fully covered from top to bottom, who still get harassed for being on the fucking platform. There is no need to clutch your pearls on this one, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a bad thing. This is a really cool stream that's been running as of right now 3 hours, 22 minutes, and 60 seconds. Well, 3 hours, 23 minutes to be exact. There's nothing wrong with this. This is a good cause, but because you think that she's completely naked or there's implied nudity, which again, nowhere in the TOS does it say implied nudity is not allowed. It doesn't say that specifically. And the fact that she's nearly raised over $1,800 for Doctors Without Borders. Let's punch this up. See, you have a donate to charity button. Let's see how well we're doing here. This is through the fundraiser, and I'm pretty sure they're also using Tiltify. The number is wrong, but this is how much they've raised. I think this is for today, but this is what they're raising. Here we go. See? But this is terrible, right? This is horrible, what they're doing. This serves no purpose. But yet, look what they've raised for Doctors Without Borders. And yet you have random people coming in saying this is the most embarrassing shit I've ever seen. Raising $1,307 out of $1,800 for a very, very noble charity is an embarrassing shit. There's far more important things in the world to worry about, guys. Far more important things to worry about. And if this is what sets you off, you're on the wrong side of history. There's not a problem with this. So stop trying to make it a problem. Stop trying to make this seem like this is some big, gigantic issue. Because I guarantee you, it's not. I was GodOfKnockers, and it was really nice talking to you. Take care. Learn to read things. Laters.
Thank you. You could be straight up wearing a tube top right now. Yep. I could be. I literally...
Hey, you see that? She's wearing a tube top. See that part she's pinching onto? That's a tube top. Gee, I guess she really isn't naked, huh?